Greetings and salutations. I think it might be a spring day. It's 56 degrees and the snow is starting to melt. It's the old man down the street, and I just wanted to give you an update on some of the data center goings on here in Virginia, specifically in, well, I was going to say Goochland County, but it's actually Hanover, Henrico, Powhatan, Louisa. There's data centers going in everywhere. Yesterday, I joined the Data Center Reform Coalition, and we went downtown to Richmond and talked with each of our senators, our state senators and state delegates. There were people from all over Virginia, so it wasn't just us from the Goochland County area. There was two of us from eastern Goochland County, and other folks from Hanover and as far away as Appomattox. So we had a good turnout. There's people from Northern Virginia, Charlottesville, really all over Virginia. So I don't know how many people, 100 maybe, 100 folks went and talked to all their representatives. So it was a good turnout, and we had a reasonably good discussion with Delegate Navarre and Senator Seifers. So it got me to thinking a lot more. I met a lot of people who are also opposed to data centers. Not opposed to data centers, but opposed to the random placement of data centers and the uncontrolled growth. I guess that's a better description. I got a lot more information and data about what it's like to live next to a data center, what it's like to live next to a construction site that's going to be ongoing for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. So I thought I would, I did a little research online today, and I looked at a variety of things. First of all, I made it sort of personal. So Goochland County, we've got 900 acres that the Board of Supervisors wants to provide to tract to sell data centers. So I'm going to use that 900 acres as an example. And I learned that with 900 acres, we could actually go to what's called a Titan cluster or gigawatt scale campus. And if they fill it all up, and you know they will, it could be terrifically expensive for them. So one of the things I learned was they may just build an empty building and not put anything in it. So there's no sales tax there, of course. So the county would get no revenue, but we might waive it anyway. But no sales tax because there's nothing put in it. They're just building the building to have it ready for the next generation of technology or the next round without having to make the investment, because the investments are significant. We'd have 12 to 24 big, huge buildings, and that's somewhere between 4 and 8 million square feet. I mean, that's a lot. Dominion Energy would have to have 3, maybe as many as 5 dedicated high-end substations of high voltage, 230 volts or 500 kilovolts, sorry. Generator banks, oh my God, there'd be so many. We'd have 400, 500, 600 generators. Massive amounts of diesel fuel stored underground or in tanks above ground. I mean, it would be just incredible. And retention ponds for depending on how they're going to handle the water. You know, utility corridors where they have high transmission lines coming through. They'd be coming through our neighborhoods, literally right next door. The people that live in the townhouses will probably be able to hear the buzzing of the wires. Water treatment depends again on how they're going to use the water. It could be 5 to 10 million gallons a day. I don't know where they're going to get it. I don't know where they're going to get it. I understand that Hanover's already buying water from Henrico, and that's where we get all our water on the eastern side. So that's a little troubling. I'm guessing that they will dig wells because they don't have anything else. I mean, they could do recycling water, but they still need water. How much is it going to cost? Ooh, wow, a lot. So the land acquisition, I don't know. I don't think the landowners will want to keep it. I'm sure they understand the risk of the technology expiring in 10 years is very high. And if it expires to the point where we no longer need the same kind of data centers that we have now, those buildings will be worthless. And we in Goochland County, we haven't come up with any kind of shutdown plan. We don't ask them to remediate the land or the buildings or anything. They could just leave everything there. And if they had LLCs that were essentially shells, which is what they're building right now, it's a Ponzi scheme of setting up companies to borrow money, to borrow money, to lend money, to borrow money, and it's kind of circular. All of that collapses after all the money's been sucked out of the circle, and the county's left sitting with toxic waste of hundreds, if not thousands, of data chips in big useless buildings that potentially are a toxic waste dump. Anyway, let me talk about some land. So I'm not going to talk about the land acquisition because there's 900 acres, and that could be, who knows what they're going to charge them. To build just the physical buildings is probably going to be between $3 billion and $7 billion. It kind of depends on, they're going to build 12 major centers or 24. And the electrical infrastructure, that's going to be huge. And that depends on how much we, the taxpayers, pay for it, or we the Dominion Energy customers pay for it. They could end up paying up to $22 billion for the infrastructure to build all of that. And I've got some slides that show what a typical layout might be of a cluster like this. Mechanical cooling, the air conditioners, the water recycling, that's going to be up to $12 billion. And then they've got to hook it up, and that's up to $1.5 billion. And that's one of the incentives that Goochland County is apparently offering, and I don't think we ought to be doing that. We don't need to be borrowing money to give to these data centers of the landowners, that's for sure. So it's going to end up being $10 to $15 million per megawatt. So they've got 100 megawatts. You guys can do the math. The big thing is, what kind of Titan Center will it be? Is it going to be AI? If that's true, then the cost is going to go up significantly. So if they decide to make it an AI or partially AI, I don't know if you can do partially AI. The numbers I come up with are between $75 billion and $150 billion. So that's a lot of money. So you can think with every $1 billion, the vote or influence of the citizens' vote is going to get less and less and less. We already know that the current set of supervisors, at least 80% of them, really have little care for the citizens, little care. As far as they're concerned, they could put a data center, cut our houses in half and string power lines through another half and have us living in between the servers. That's the way that we feel. That's the way I feel. That's the way I feel. I've got a map that shows where they're planning on putting the power lines. and it goes right through districts 2 and 3, and they're gonna use eminent domain and take your land away. So if they put the power lines in, high powered transmission lines, the great big things that stick up in the air and carry 750 kilovolts of power. They also have now the major part of the infrastructure to put data centers in. And they also have the money to dig as deep as they need to dig for water. So they really have no disincentive not to build a data center wherever they've got high power transmission lines. So the bottom line is we're sort of at a crossroads here. I think you should write your board of supervisors and tell them that they need to slow down with data centers. Goochland's already written its citizens off. I think most of the citizens in districts 1, 2, and 3, they don't get it yet, but they're just as vulnerable as we are in 4 and 5. We're getting the short end of this stick here. Other counties are beginning to realize that they're better organized than we are. Their citizens are getting fired up. It's just, it's an incredible betrayal of the trust that we put in our elected leaders, that they're doing this to us. So write your supervisors, write your legislators, let them know that this uncontrolled growth where citizens don't matter, it's just unreasonable. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.